Adam Catzavelos case. Griselda, what news do you have for us?
All right, Blaine, some breaking news at this hour. The presiding magistrate in the Adam Catzavelos hate speech case, you'd know, that was brought to the Equality Court by the South African Human Rights Commission. The magistrate in Sunarain has recused himself from the case. This after the Human Rights Commission had raised concerns about a so-called close relationship between the magistrate and the defence. It now turns out the magistrate also agreed to recuse himself. It now turns out that the presiding magistrate in this matter had worked for the defence some 10 years ago, and he just in court a few moments ago said he would recuse himself from the matter and that another presiding officer would now deal with this case. It has been postponed to the 29th of August, so this is when the case will sit now. You'd know, of course, that the Human Rights Commission had brought this matter to the Equality Court following that video going viral on social media where Adam Catzavelos, of course, was using racial slurs. Let's chat now to the Human Rights Commission's Buwang Jones. Mr. Jones, thanks for your time. Well, you brought an application this morning essentially calling for the recusal of the presiding magistrate. He has now recused himself. We understand that this is due to a close relationship between the defence and the magistrate who we now know had worked for Adam Catzavelos' lawyer some 10 years ago.
Yes, it is indeed correct that they had a working relationship some 10 years ago, and impartiality is a fundamental legal principle to a fair trial, and we welcome the decision by the magistrate to recuse himself from this case. All right.
So you're arguing, of course, that that relationship would have prejudiced your case against Mr. Adam Catzavelos and that there would have been an element of bias, I would assume.
Yes, whenever there is a reasonable apprehension of bias, judicial officers or presiding officers have to really consider submissions from either of the parties. And in our submission, we felt that due to a relational or relationship, that this would prejudice our case, and we felt that this matter should be adjudicated by someone who would be impartial, who does not have any relationship with either of the parties.
All right. Let's just get an update as well. I know as the Human Rights Commission, you had put a proposed settlement on the table of 200,000 rand that you would want Mr. Adam Catzavelos to pay for his transgressions. Is there any indication whether you will accept that deal at this stage?
Well, at this stage, we are still in discussion. There is going to be a meeting before the next sitting or the next appearance in this matter. We are hopeful that we will reach some form of settlement which will result in the matter being finalized. But our concern is that we had hoped that they would consider our settlement proposal, which in a nutshell says we understand your current plight, that you don't have money, but here's a payment plan that we are proposing, because you are proposing a payment plan. We're saying, can you pay this 200,000 over a period of 20 months? We've never been so kind to a person accused of racist conduct as a commission.
So that would mean about 10,000 rand over that 20-month period. But I mean, what message do you think that would be sending? A payment plan itself that has been put in place for Mr. Adam Catzavelos. Yes, they've not accepted it at this stage, but obviously as the Human Rights Commission, you'd want to be sending a clear message to other individuals who would use this kind of language.
Of course, we always use these cases to serve as a deterrent, to send a clear message to society that we do not tolerate racism. We've seen over the years that racists have become emboldened, and they continue to hurl discriminatory and racist utterances. But we think that we have to treat each case on its own merits. Yeah. We have to consider the personal circumstances of the defendant, in this case Mr. Catzavelos, who still has to adduce proof to us that he does not have money, that he's no longer conducting business in South Africa.
Mr. Bwang Jones from the South African Human Rights Commission, thank you very much for your time. Of course, breaking news at this hour that the magistrate, the presiding magistrate in the Adam Catzavelos hate speech case has recused himself from this matter following a conflict of interest. Of course, just to recap there, it now turns out that the presiding magistrate, N. Sunarain, had a working relationship with the defense, had worked with the defense lawyer of Adam Catzavelos some 10 years ago. So he's also agreed to recuse himself from this matter. It has been postponed to the 29th of August, and that's when this matter will sit. But the Human Rights Commission, they're quite pleased that the magistrate has decided to recuse himself over conflict of interest and that close relationship between the two.
Right, postponement to the 29th of August, and as you heard from Criselda Lewis, the breaking news on SABC News, magistrate in the Adam Catzavelos case has recused himself. So we're going to have much more in our later bulletins as well.
Absolutely.